just for you and me. The dogwood was never to grow strong and tall.
Welcome everybody, this is Lonnie Jones and this is my life story that I'm telling, and we're on episode number 7 and what God's done for me. And you know, all through the episodes that I've already talked about, He's done an awful lot for me coming up through those years, like taking care of me after nearly cutting my foot off with an axe, and so many things that He helped me with coming up through those years. And I didn't realize, you know, that God was doing things for me that He did until I got older and realized who God was. He wasn't in my life per se that I knew about at the time when I was young and coming up. So I just told you a while ago about my dad going to Texas and doing so well and coming back, going back in the same shape he was in. And now he's moved to Tennessee City in somebody else's house instead of his own. And I want to go back and tell you what happened to the farm. My daddy, before he went to Texas, to where my brother was at, we had 128 acres, and of course back in those days it says 128 acres more or less. Now what the more or less meant, I'm not too sure. But my daddy sold that 128 acres in 1957. It might have been 58. I'm not sure. It could have possibly been 58. But at any rate, he sold that farm for $1,000. 128 acres for $1,000. And not only did he sell it for $1,000, he also went on the man's note so the man could even buy it. So that's how bad it was. Daddy had to go on his note for him to buy it, before they'd even sell it to him. So Daddy sold 128 acres for $1,000. $1,000. And a gentleman by the name of Barry Wells bought it, and Daddy went on his note at the First National Bank down in Dixon, Tennessee, for him to buy it. And speaking of the banks, earlier, I haven't put this in no episode yet, so we'll put it in here right now. When I was about, I'd say 8 years old, I had warts all over my hands. All over my knuckles was these old warts. And what brought this to mind just now is Daddy being in the bank. And there was a man in the bank one day, long before he sold this farm, like when I was like 8 years old. There was this man in the bank. Daddy was standing there talking to him. And Daddy picked up one of my hands. He said, "Do you think you can do anything about these warts?" And I don't know who the man was then. I don't know who he is now, or who he was. But he took my hand, and he rubbed my hand, and kept talking to Daddy like that. He grabbed my other hand, he rubbed my hand, kept talking to Daddy like that right there. And last thing I remember, he said, "Them warts, they'll be gone about a week." And lo and behold, my warts all disappeared. Just like that. So I don't know what you believe, what you don't believe. I know that's a fact. And I remember it. Because, again, I was around 8 years old, somewhere in that neighborhood. Because I was already in school. I do remember that. And so that man rubbed both of my hands, and my warts went away. So that's how come I wanted to bring that up, since I brought the bank up on buying the farm, the man buying the farm and Daddy at the bank going on the note and everything. I wanted to bring the deal up about the warts. And I never had warts again that I know anything about. Not, to my knowledge, I've never had a wart since. But at any rate, and also, I was going to tell you about a plane crash that I highly doubt if 5 people, I'm pretty sure there's nobody watching this show but one person, and that's Sue Wright. If she remembers, she might remember, but there's not that many people. There's not that many people on my 2 hands here that would remember this plane crash down below Dixon, right in my neck of the woods. I was a freshman in high school, and it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And somebody tells us at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, how in this world the news ever got to our school? I have no clue. Most people didn't even have telephones in 1957. But there was a plane crash. Remember the Oak Grove store where I went from school to first grade in school? You have to go back for the first episode to know all this stuff now. So if you hadn't seen these other episodes, you're going to be forced to go back home, because there's so many things that is happening that is referred to all the other episodes. So the little store where it was Harris and Sullivan's store at the Oak Grove community, 1 mile south of there on 48 highway, an airplane crashed at approximately 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was in a history class. I'll never forget it long and live. When we found out about it, I was in the history class, because I remember all the windows were up. Back then, they didn't know what air conditioning was. All the windows was up, and I was sitting next to a window, and somebody hollered from down on the ground. I was 2 stories up. Somebody hollered up to us in the history class, a plane crashed out on 48 highway. Well, I've got the information right here, and you can check this. You can fact check this. Everybody likes to fact check things. I don't know who checks facts about facts, but these are facts right here. April the 2nd, 1957. It was 6 killed and 4 survived. It was a B-25. Your daddy would be very familiar with that, Rita, I'm sure. And they were coming from Langley Air Force Base and going to Memphis. And this plane, nobody knows what happened to it. Now remember, this is back in 1957. And that plane, they found parts in a 3-mile radius of that plane for days. There's still parts they never have found. But you couldn't get in a mile of that place when that plane crashed, because the Army just sent a ton of people in there. And there was, like I said, there was 6 got killed and 4 survived. The 4 that survived got the parachutes open in time. It didn't kill them, it crippled them pretty bad, but it did not kill them. So 4 of them survived. Now we got that news at our school at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And instead of going home, me and a bunch of the guys, the first thing we done was went out there. And that was the office smelling place for about a month you ever smelled in your life. Because when those guys jumped out of that plane anyway, the parachute didn't even open, and they knocked holes in the ground. Huge holes in the ground when they hit the ground. And of course the plane just disintegrated. So that was in 1957. Very few people knows about that, could remember about that. Rita and I were going out last year to Winfield, Kansas, and we needed a trailer to haul our golf cart on so we could go all over the Bluegrass Festival. So this trailer come up for sale down in Dixon on 48 Highway. Well, the one that we got right now, the red one we went down there and bought it, and we bought that trailer within 100 yards of where that plane crashed. That guy lived there. He'd never heard anything like it. He knew nothing about anything like that. But we bought the trailer that we pull our golf cart behind our motorhome with. We bought that 100 yards from where that airplane went down and exploded. But little things like that you remember later on when you're telling your story and things like that. I meant to tell that in episode 6, and I just didn't get around to it. I had so much to say. So anyway, the plane crashed. We went out there and checked it out. Of course, they found parts of that plane everywhere within 3-mile radius for a long time. But anyway, that's enough about the plane crash. And so Daddy, living in Tennessee City, we're hauling cordwood and Hooper McGee. I'm making whiskey. Now Sue Wright the other night called me, said, we never did know what Hooper did with his stills when nobody could ever find one of his stills. Well, let me tell you how simple that was. This is how simple it was. Hooper McGee probably killed a lot of people making whiskey. I didn't know any better. But he would turn two number 2 wash tubs upside down on each other and run a galvanized gutter pipe like this as a lead pipe out. We was running lead whiskey. There's no telling how many people it killed. And why they could never find Hooper stills was what's two number 2 tubs worth. He would just destroy them or carry them all or carry them home with him. Who knows he was using wash tubs to make whiskey in? But that's what he was making whiskey in, wash tubs. I'll never forget, I was making one whiskey for him one night, and Sue will know who Charles Kimbrough was, but we were making them on McKinley Dunnigan's property, but we was halfway between McKinley Dunnigan and Charles Kimbrough's, and you could, if you was at Charles Kimbrough's, you could see his lights from his house from where we were making whiskey. So we lit up the fire and everything. We, instead of going on and staying with it and everything, and completely running it all out, we just let it finish cooking off by itself, and we went on and left it. Well, we hung up this blanket in the trees between his house and the fire that we had, which I'm sure they'd done seen. But we hung that blanket up so there wouldn't nobody see the fire going, and we left it. When we come back the next day to get it, the blanket was burned up. The fire done got in the blanket and burned the blanket up. And his one had to burn, caught the wood on fire. And probably the only reason it didn't catch the wood on fire is there was snow on the ground. There was light snow on the ground. And that's probably kept from burning, catching the woods on fire. But anyway, we didn't stay with it, and that's what happened. Come back and the blankets burned up. So if they didn't see the fire burning, making the moonshine, they sure seen the blanket burning, didn't they? Probably. So then that's how you couldn't never find Hooper McGee's stills, is because he was using number 2 wash tub and gutter pipe, and they were all galvanized. And no telling how many people in Cumberland Furnace he killed. Now, Cumberland Furnace is a little town right outside of Charlotte, Tennessee. Charlotte, Tennessee is the county seat of Dixon, Tennessee. Dixon is a big town. Charlotte's a small town. But Charlotte was the county seat of Dixon County. Well, Cumberland Furnace was just a little ways from there. In fact, I sold a boat to a man the day before yesterday that lives in Cumberland Furnace. And he's coming back to get the boat one day next week. But anyway, and let's talk right quick about what God's done for me this week. Hey, day's just Monday. Day is just Monday. And guess what he started doing for me yesterday? I put 2 boats up for sale yesterday. 2 weeks ago, I bought a pickup truck, and I bought a nice SUV. Both of them wrecked in the front. Hoods tore up. One fender's tore up on both of them, and the grills tore up and everything. So, make a long story short, I sold one boat yesterday. So the man comes, and I've got nobody that knows how to work on boats, nobody that will work on boats, and I've got boats that need working on. So the man that come and bought the boat yesterday afternoon, he bought it yesterday afternoon, come and got it this morning. So on his way out with the boat, I told him I had another boat over here that I needed to get running because people wanted to buy it, and I needed to make sure it would run before I sold it to them. I said, do you know anybody to get it running? He said, I'll probably get it running for you, just like that. Out of nowhere, he said, I can probably get it running for you. Well, here comes a guy out of nowhere. I have no clue he's a mechanic or nothing. And guess what he did for a living? He drives big buses for all the stars. He knows Larry Plemmon, knew Larry Plemmon very well. He's been driving buses for 30 years. He knew Larry Plemmon's the man that owned this property right here. Knew him very well. Well, he's not driving any buses now, so guess what he's doing? He's buying up boats and repairing them and selling them too. And he lives on a lake up in Carthage, Tennessee, which he's got all the water he needs. So that's one thing God took care of right there. Gave me a mechanic. He's going to come back in the morning at 8 o'clock and fix my motor on my boat. And guess what happened while all that was going on that God done for me? This little girl called me up, said, "Have you still got that boat?" I said, "Yes, but I said, "We don't have it running." She said, "Well, you think you can get it running?" I said, yes, ma'am, I know we can get it running. I said, "The boat is rough." She said, "I don't care. We don't care what the cosmetics look like. Can we come and see it?" I don't know where I'd have the boat or not if it was me going to try to put something together, but it's a young couple. It's a young couple. And I get out of the truck, and they say, "We want it. We want it. I'll give you half the money right now until you get it running." I thought to myself, what kind of deal is this? You know, I'm just blown away. Very nice young couple. So anyway, meantime, he proceeds to tell me that he's got a paint and body shop. Now this is God just took over. Whole deal. He said, "I got a paint and body shop over here in Dawson on Lebanon Road." I said, "Well, you know, I've got a couple of vehicles here that's got the front end knocked off of them, and I got all the parts it takes to go back on them." I said, "Would you look at them for me?" He said, "Sure." So he walks around, he looks them all over, and he tells me, he said, I can fix them. And just like that, he sends me a body man. So God sends me a buyer for the boat. He sends me a mechanic. And he sends me a guy that will put both my vehicles together. But I tell you what, I finally got around to saying more about God than I've been saying in my other episodes. But that's just what he has done Sunday afternoon and Monday for me. Now, there is no way in the world I could have put all that together. That's like building a spider web. Only a spider can build that web. Only God can put these people together to take care of my problem. It's my problem. The boat's not running good. I got a mechanic now. It's my problem that it's so hot I don't want to put these parts on these. I don't want to be out here pulling and jerking and carrying on trying to make these parts fit these vehicles. Now I got a guy that can do all that stuff for me. And it's exciting what God does for you. And unless you've got God up here, you don't think about that. You don't think who's doing this for you. It's like every day of your life, there's a little bitty thing that he does that you don't think about. You got to have God on your mind. You got to think about God. You got to have him on your mind. And it's just amazing what he's done for me. And that was just what he's done for me Sunday, yesterday evening, and today. And that's what he's done. And I mean, how awesome is that? And anyone that thinks that just happened by accident has got to be crazy. That didn't just happen by accident. And so I wanted to put God in this series in this episode because I hadn't been putting him in a lot, because it's not that he hadn't done a lot for me, but I wanted to put something really major. I want to get your attention. Something major, and that's major stuff. And I created all these problems for myself buying all this stuff. And now I got all the help in the world I'll ever need to take care of my problem. So I can't understand why anyone wouldn't think if something like that was to happen to them. Now, how could that have happened? Well, I tell you how it happened. God took care of it. If you got him on your mind and you believe in him, then he's going to help you out of the problems that you're in. And it's not no big major problem thing, but it is major in a sense that the age I am, I can't stand this heat to go out here and put all this stuff back on these cars. And again, only way that can happen is through God. God took care of all those things. He saw it long before I did. Before I ever bought any of this stuff, he knew what was coming. He was way ahead of time. Now, at the time, he might not have had time fooling me at the time, but it's like going and getting that in the pickup truck breaking down in an episode. So anyway, I won't put God into this episode because after all, this story is about my life story and what God's done for me. And it just gets better. God just never lets up. He's always there. He's waiting on you to make the wrong step. And all you got to do is ask for his help. He's there. He'll never forsake you. He's there waiting on you to help you do what you need to do. All he's doing is asking you to be fair with him. Love him and obey him. And if you can do the best you can do at that, he certainly understands we're by no long shot goody people. We're born into sin, and he's going to do for us as best he can do that we can do for ourselves. So I suggest that every time little old something goes a little bit wrong, and all of a sudden it all straightens out. Wonder how that got straightened out like that. I guarantee you, God had his hand in it. Don't let nobody kid you. He had his hand in it. I'll promise you that. And I just wanted you to be sure that episode 7 that I got God put in there and what he's done for me. Because after all, that's the title of this whole deal. It's my life story and what God's done for me. And right now, what we're going to do now is Gary and Roger Ball and Rita and myself, we're going to play y'all a couple tunes, and I hope you'll enjoy them. And so here we go. Let's pick a little bit. Y'all want to? All right. I hope you enjoyed episode number 7 of Lonnie Jones' life and what God's done for him. And I certainly hope and appreciate everybody watching. So number 7 is behind us, and we're going to get these old boys back here to help me out on a couple more songs. Hey, hang in there with me, I'll tell you right now. They always show up when I need them the worst, it seems like. I for sure do appreciate them. We're going to do one right now, a song called Take Me Back and Leave Me There. We hope you enjoy it. The key of L. Wish I could find a Greyhound and a destination sign saying Elrod, Alabama, 1949. With the smell of sweet magnolia blowing some summer air, or take me back and leave me there. Pass me through the land of cotton, carry me away, those feelings long forgotten in the good old days. To a place that's cool and shady, Tower Spring, rocking chair. Lord, take me back and leave me there. Wanna live in Grandma's story, taste a drugstore bought for 2. Oh, Grandma, blue ribbon pickle that made the front page news. Yesterday is all I'm after. How I get there, I don't care. Just take me back and leave me there. Passing through the land of cotton, carry me away, those feelings long forgotten in the good old days. To a place that's cool and shady, tar swing, rocking chair. Lord, take me back and leave me there. Pass me through the land of cotton, carry me away, those feelings long forgotten in the good old days, to places cool and shady, tower swings, rocking chairs. Lord, take me back and lead me there, to a place that's cool and shady, tower swings, rocking chairs. Lord, take me back and leave me there. Lord, take me back and leave me there. Take me back and leave me there. That's where I'm going, back down in Dixon, Tennessee. They might just leave me down there. You reckon?
Yeah,
Can't never
I don't
tell.
think so.
All right, what are we doing, Rita?
To Canaan's land.
Canaan land. That's it. No, hey.
Hey.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, Gary, he gonna get that. I bet banjo probably back out.
Move that to G. Move it to G.
Is it G? We're gonna do it G, all right. G will be better, Lord. All right. Now then, by golly, here we're going to key of G.
Yeah.
Ain't to Canaan's land.
Here you go.
Canaan's land, I'm on my way, where the soul of man never dies. My darkest night will turn to day, where the soul of man never dies. No sad farewell, no tear will die. Where all is peace and joy and love, and the soul of man never dies. The roses blooming there for me, where the soul of man never dies. And I will spend eternity where the soul of man never dies. No sad farewell, there'll be no tear dim eyes, where all is peace and joy and love, and the soul of man never No sad farewell, there'll be no tear dim eyes, where all is peace and joy and love, and the soul of man never dies, and the soul of man never dies.
Soul of man never died. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. We'll be seeing you. I believe on number 8 next time. Is that
Episode
right?
number 8. That's
Episode
right.
number 8. We'll see you on episode number 8. Hope you enjoyed number 7. And just let us know on Facebook. Don't forget to punch follow on there and subscribe if you can do that. We'd appreciate it a lot. That'll help boost our program. So I'm gonna keep telling my story, y'all, as long as y'all keep pushing the button. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, I hope y'all enjoyed our music tonight with Gary and Roger Ball and Rita and myself, and I hope you enjoyed episode number 7, because it was I thought it was really nice, and what God did for me in episode 7. So we'll see you. I'll tell you what, we'll see you in episode 8. How about that? See you in episode 8. Thank you, and don't forget to push that button. Yes, we want to please subscribe to our story and on YouTube, and you can also find us on Facebook as well. So if you'll do that for us, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and that would be awesome. Thank you. See you on episode 8.
Jesus died on the cross from a dogwood tree. He gave his life and soul just for you and me. The dogwood was never to grow strong and tall again, for the blood shed that day was on the wood from a dogwood tree.